You ever wonder how a competitive eater, those guys that swallow, 30, 40 hot dogs in one sitting and, they or spaghetti or stuff like that. And you ever wonder how they train for something like that? Because that's a sport. Sickeningly, that's that.
I would love to train for something like that. I mean,
I don't know.
You get to eat and eat and eat.
I don't know, man. Because where's that food going? Because these people don't gain any weight. Some of the better ones, they don't gain any weight. So what happens to all of that? Joining us on 710 KURV, you may have seen her on The Daily Show, Dr. Oz show. She's a New York Times bestselling author. Mary Roach is our guest. Okay, Mary, so let's get to it. They're purging, aren't they, right? They eat all this stuff and they purge, because otherwise they would die with all that food in their stomach, right?
You know what? When they're training, they mostly are training, because you're right, they would gain a lot of weight. If you trained and you swallowed all that food, you'd be enormous. So they mostly train with water, which is something people should not try at home, because you can kill yourself by drinking too much water.
Yeah.
But that is that's the technique that they use. These guys, they brought one of these guys into a hospital. A researcher brought him in and had like 34 hot dogs lined up and some barium, like a side of barium, so it would show up on the fluoroscope, so they could actually see what was going on in there. And they had a regular guy and gave him some hot dogs. He didn't get very far, but the competitive eater, had his stomach. It starts out the same size. He doesn't have a big stomach, but it's super stretchy. So these are people who all their lives have been able to eat a tremendous amount of food and just process it, and they tend to not be fat. And I was like, well, how do you? Because the stomach has a built-in safety mechanism. If you overeat to an extreme, your stomach just goes, you know what? Get rid of it, and you'll just throw up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they don't. They don't throw it up.
Well, what happens is they do, because I asked him, I said, well, how come, why aren't you like anyone else? And he said, oh, we are. We just swallow it back down.
Oh, no.
No way.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. The rules in competitive eating are the food can come up, it just cannot come out. So he's like, yeah, you just,
oh
he
my
said,
God.
That is just so wrong.
Mental.
That is really,
That's got to, wouldn't that make you even sicker, though?
Yeah, a lot of the training, like the guy said, it's mental. It's really, you go into some weird Zen state where you kind of separate from your body, because you feel really crappy. It's a very unpleasant thing to be doing, and you just keep pushing forward. And like any sport, it's a lot of weird mental training.
Look to the sky, Mary. That is hellfire that is soon raining on us. That is just so wrong. What does that say of our society, that competitive eating is a sport? That is just so sick. I am 10 miles north of an area where people are rummaging through, still 30 years after I lived in Reynosa, they're still rummaging through trash daily to try to find something to eat. This is just wrong, Mary.
We're a very unusual culture. I don't know if competitive eating exists in other countries. I don't know. I mean, maybe it does, but it's such an American, celebration of success and eating that has nothing to do with staying alive or tasting your food. It is the weirdest thing. And of all the stuff I saw when I researched, there was some gross stuff. I spent some time with a saliva researcher. I was in Grossville for 2 years, but the thing that was the hardest for me to take was watching footage of competitive eaters stuffing like hot dogs or whatever they were eating.
Spaghetti.
That is so hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
Mary, tell us the name of your book and what does it mean?
Well, it's Gulp, G-U-L-P, Gulp, as in, swallowing food. Yeah. Adventures on the Alimentary Canal, and the Alimentary Canal is just an old-timey phrase for the whole food chute, from mouth to tail.
It has a Latin root to it. It's alimento for us in Spanish, which is food. That's what it is.
Yeah. The food canal. Yep.
Does it give us nutrition advice, dietary advice, good healthy eating habits, or?
No, I'm not really a kind of a advice author, but you do learn a lot about eating, and I'm not giving anybody prescribing a diet or anything, but you learn a lot along the way, and hopefully you make better choices because now you understand how all your parts work.
But you get into the whole competitive eating thing, right? And how they train and
There
all
is
that type of stuff.
yeah, I do have a chapter on the competitive the guy who brought them into the hospital and looked at what was going on with competitive. Yeah, I have a couple stomach chapters for sure.
I notice here that you address the issue of crunchy food versus mushy food and why the crunchy stuff is better. What's in our psyche that makes us like the crunchier stuff? Was it bugs that we ate millions of years ago, or what was it?
Well, crunchy or crisp food is in nature is fresh food, apples or celery.
Okay.
It's crisp. That means that it's going to have a lot of nutrition and it's not rotten. So if it's mushy, it might be something that's not going to be as good for you. So we gravitate toward crispy and crunchy. And then the snack food people kind of capitalized on that by figuring out how to make like the optimal crunch. They
so
can tell
crunchy
you the
peanut butter.
level,
Crunchy peanut butter is better than creamy peanut butter.
How about fried chicken? That's pretty crunchy too.
That's right.
Fried chicken. How about that, huh? No?
Yeah, people like it's called dynamic contrast, which is if you're going to have some yogurt, you want to throw in some Oreo pieces or granola. We like to have a little bit of variety. Like the mouse is this guy who gets bored,
Mary, it's a pleasure. We'll keep in touch. We wish you the best. Gulp, look for it. Gulp, Adventures on the Alimentary Canal. That is author Mary Roach joining us on 710 KURV.